And holidaymakers have spent the last 2 weeks on board the Diamond Princess in Yokohama in Japan, which saw the largest cluster of cases of COVID-19 outside mainland China. Sky's Dan Whitehead has the latest from Boscombe Down, the airbase in Wiltshire, where they landed this morning.
They were accompanied by a police escort as well as 2 or 3 ambulance vehicles, exactly as we have seen it when the evacuation convoys have gone up from Brize Norton. So they'll have that 4 or 5 hour drive now up north to the Wirral. On board those coaches, on each of those coaches was a medical personnel as well as Foreign Office staff. They'll be keeping an eye on the 32 British and EU nationals just in case any of them fall ill. They'll be heading up to Arrow Park Hospital. That's the NHS facility which has been used over the last month or so to keep others in quarantine who've come back from China. They'll be living there for 14 days. It should be a bit more of a comfortable environment to what they've had to experience over the last 17 days. Of course, these people have been holed up on board the Diamond Princess in Yokohama in Japan. Very difficult conditions. Some of them have been inside cabins which have had no windows. They've had to stay in their small cruise ship cabins for those 17 days, getting their meals delivered just outside the door, collecting them. But they drove past here. I looked in the window, a couple of them waved. They had the face masks on. They seemed in good spirits. They were waving out of the coach window. But they will now be continuing that isolation, 14 days on the Wirral, before they get the all clear. And while they're there, those NHS medical staff will be keeping a very keen eye on them because, of course, on board that ship they were on, more than 600 people got coronavirus COVID-19. They were confirmed as positive. Now, all of the 32 here were showing no symptoms and were negative when they left Japan, but they've, of course, been spending a long time on a confined environment where a lot of people did catch the virus. So the staff at the Wirral will be keeping a keen eye on it if any of them develop symptoms over the next 14 days.
People living in tower blocks covered in unsafe cladding are being forced to pay extra service charges to make their homes safe, according to the Greater Manchester High Rise Task Force. In some cases, tenants have seen costs increase more than 5-fold to replace the cladding and pay for additional fire wardens. Sky's Emma Birchley has this update.
You imagine you're living in a block of flats and you realise after the horror of Grenfell Tower that actually your building is covered in the same kind of combustible cladding, and all sorts of promises are made about what's going to be done. But what's quite clear is that in many cases, privately owned blocks have not seen the work carried out that should have been done. Now, in May of last year, the government promised £200 million to help sort this out with these privately owned blocks. However, that doesn't cover the full bill. And what we're seeing instead is that the cost is being passed on to the leaseholders, so the private owners of those flats. Now, this Greater Manchester High Rise Task Force was set up by the Mayor of the city, Andy Burnham, and they've done this survey and they've found in one case, for example, someone's service charge has gone up from £90 per month to £480 per month. People are also seeing maintenance charges increasing, and also bottom line bills have been told, well, you'll have to maybe pay £30,000 more to get this sorted. And it's not just in Manchester. We've seen this. Actually, if you do a little bit of digging, it's happening all around the country. So in Ipswich, flat owners being told they'll have to pay up to £25,000. In Kent, in Bromley, people being told it'll be £70,000 because there's a £3.5 million shortfall on a single block of flats. Now, this is causing enormous amounts of anxiety because people are living in flats where they're very worried that it's going to be the next Grenfell Tower, but also anxiety about money. How do you find that big chunk of money when you're told, you know, you've got to find it? People are being told by mortgage companies they can't remortgage because their flats no longer have any value. They can't sell because the buyers can't get mortgages to buy. So they're really stuck in a rut with no way of getting out. And actually on Tuesday, Andy Burnham, along with the Mayor of Salford and a bunch of residents and people from around the country are heading to Parliament to lobby MPs there and to put their case across. There's a call for more money in the budget to really help these private flat owners.